First, I want to say I'm indeed delighted to be here this evening to talk to this wonderful audience. As we have heard, I'm from Kenya, and currently I'm the governor of a county in Kenya called Vihiga County. Prior to that, I was a member of parliament for 10 years, from 2007 to 2017. Professionally, I'm a scientist, and I spend a lot of my time in environmental science, particularly remote sensing and GIS. I became a politician not by design, but by intention, because I wrote so many papers, position papers, to be passed in parliament, but nobody could understand them. And anytime they put it in the discussion, people misinterpreted everything I wrote for them. So I decided the best is for me to go to parliament and make things right. And that's what I did, and I'm happy I achieved all what I wanted to do. So that's why I'm a politician. Just, it was by accident. This evening, I want to give you an experience on how we use GIS for rational planning and decision-making in my county. My presentation will be as follows. We will look at the legal framework which I put in place when I went to parliament, how I developed a GIS system for my county, what principles we used to develop this system, and the system is known as County Development Information System, or CDIS. I have already established a GIS laboratory, and I would give you a few examples on how we have used GIS in planning and decision making, and how GIS is our nerve center for integrated development planning. Vihiga County is located in Kenya, in western part of Kenya, next to Lake Victoria. We are among the 47 counties of the country. It's a small county of about 531 kilometers square, but population density of 1,200 per kilometer square. So it's a very densely populated. Currently, we have about 614,000 people, and our population growth is about 2.51% annually. Our economic mainstay is subsistence, agriculture, trade, and commerce. I had to make sure that we have a legal framework for GIS in our governance system. And I was lucky I went to parliament at the right time when we were doing a new constitution. So I ensured that the geospatial technologies were mainstreamed in our constitution are the foundation for planning and decision making. And equally, I did the same for the county governments. So we have a legal framework as GIS as a planning tool in the county and at the national level. And at the county level, we have a requirement that we must establish a GIS-based data system for provision of data for the development of various plans, the 5-year development plan, the county sectorial 10-year plan, city and municipal plans. In developing our GIS data systems, we looked at the 3 very important principles, and these are principles of rational decision making. First is the information. We need information for planning. From the information, you can come up with the initiatives that will bring about development within our areas of jurisdiction. And finally, we need to monitor the impacts of those initiatives. So as a result of that, we have developed in our county a county development information system. And this is an integrated platform that helps us to interlink departmental data and information in our county to help in effective planning and decision-making, as well as monitoring. So those are the 3 I's principle. Information. Normally we get our information from satellite data, high-resolution satellite data, which I'll be talking about its importance later on. We also collect quite a lot of data, ground-based data, using mobile telephones, and also use the fundamental data sets that are developed at a national level. It is this data that we use to come up with various development initiatives, particularly in the development of our development plans, our spatial plans, and sectoral plans. And we still use GIS to be able to monitor impacts of our initiatives. This is a model on how our system, our county development information system, is structured. GIS being the center. On the left, we have the national government, what type of data sets we can access, the fundamental data sets from national government. There's socioeconomic data sets and data sets from research and innovation. On the right, we have data sets that we collect ourselves through the legal framework that is available. And in total, this is how our data system works at the county level. Through that data system, we have developed various systems which are all listed there. We already have developed about 22 systems spanning from land information management system, county agricultural management systems, heritage services information systems, and so on, even up to credit management system, planning and budget management system, utility management system, all the systems you can be able to think about, we've been able to develop them. We commissioned our GIS lab sometimes in May this year, and within that system, we are able to have all those data sets that I've indicated. We are grateful to various partners, including Esri, who helped us establish this laboratory, which is quite a state-of-art laboratory. I want to give you some practical examples. We have so many practical examples of all those systems, but I've just chosen a few to show to you. So one, we'll look at the transport and infrastructure systems, where we do mapping and classification of all roads. We get details and details on the conditions of the roads. Then we monitor and evaluate all our road projects. And from there, we have mapped all the road systems and classified them to the lowest level, to the village level, including their conditions and what is required, including the soil types, the terrain, everything that you can imagine that is required. So for every road, we put the conditions, whether it's tarmacked, whether it's maram, whether it is earth road, the distances, and conditions. So all this information is readily available and you can get it. We have prepared maps which show all the roads network within the county. And therefore, when we are doing the planning purposes, we do participatory GIS, which is done at village level. And we use these maps because it's easier for the local people at the local village to understand the maps, particularly the satellite, high-resolution satellite images where superimpose the roads. Under health, we also map and classify all our health facilities. We give information on all our health facilities, including the disease prevalence that are treated in every health facility. And that helps us when it comes to distribution of drugs and deployment of staff to various health facilities. And we use the same to monitor and evaluate the ongoing health programs and so on. And particularly, we also use GIS, particularly the gap analysis, to find out which areas require us to build more health facilities or health facilities. So this is very robust and helps us to rationally and equitably place facilities where they are required and not where probably the local community desire to have them. And this gives us a chance to have good governance within the system, and everybody is nobody's marginalized. Whether you voted for the governor in place or not, this data will help us make the decision without having to governor to say, these people didn't vote for me, and therefore I won't give this program to them. But with this, you cannot do so, because the data helps you say, this is where you need to put this facility, whether those people voted for you or not. And we do that by doing the gap analysis. So for example, this is a map showing all where we have health facilities, and therefore we have set out that for every health facility, for somebody should not walk more than 2 kilometers to a health facility. So with this, we can be able to know which areas require to have a health facility. So this is completely impartial. Decision-making is purely impartial, and nobody can come and influence because he or she comes from a particular area. So with this, you can see some of the areas that require to have more health facilities. So this is very easy, and when we display it to the people, they concur, because they will look at and say, yes, this place, we have this health facility here, we have another one here, therefore we don't need another one in the same place. And that way, we are able to do very serious, rational planning. Equally, in education, we do the same. We map and classify all our education systems. We get details on all our educations, primary schools, secondary schools, high schools, technical training schools. So we have all the details. So when you want to post the teachers, we know where we have deficiency of teachers in whatever subject. If we want to build structures, we know which institution lack what infrastructure. So like this is on TVET, that's technical and vocational training institutes. So each of these, we know where they are distributed, and we know the details of each of those institutions and the courses offered and the people who are the students who go there and their locations and so on. So that gives us all that detail. We can get an attribute table showing all the details in each of the institutions, what goes on there in terms of infrastructure, courses, and so on. So all this information is readily available, and when we are planning, it's all available to the local people, and they are able to confirm that is correct. And from there, they can now decide which areas you should put more classrooms. Like in this case, this is one of the areas where they indicated that a classroom had to be put. And after you construct, you end up with that. Equally, we use the same information for agriculture. I've just chosen a few systems. And in agriculture, we tend to provide agricultural inputs to various farmers that cannot afford agricultural inputs. And therefore, we have to map those farms. So we use high-resolution satellite data, 0.5 meters, to be able to map every farm and know the exact acreage and the exact practices that they have, the farmers' details, and so on. And then from there, we are able to determine the soil type, and therefore we determine what type of fertilizer we are to give them as a subsidy. Then from there, we can monitor to see how the crop develops up to production and harvesting. And then we monitor the impacts. And from there, we have details of every farmer who has benefited from our agricultural inputs. And therefore, we can be able to contact them. We have mapped them. We can get them. We have their telephones. We have their GPS positions, so one can get to them at any time, or they can get to us. We have a toll-free number, so they can also get to us anytime they desire to do so. So we built up a very detailed database on all the farmers and what they do and how we interact with them during the farming system. So in conclusion, those are just a few examples, but I showed you that we have more than 22 systems that we have developed. Well, in conclusion, I can say that GIS has the capabilities, particularly those dealing with the data integration, analysis, modeling, and management, which are very, very vital in terms of supporting data integration and modeling for rational development, planning, and decision-making. So we have been able to do serious development planning that is very impartial, that is based on data and information, and not on anybody's willingness to do whatever he or wants. Also, one important aspect that we have found out that GIS supports devolution for public and community participation because it's easier for people at the local level to understand maps, and particularly the high-resolution satellite data. Once you show them, they only need to identify their church where they go, and they'll take you up to home using the image. Because once they see the school, which they are used to, or the church, they'll tell you, oh, I know where I am, and they can show you very easily. So it's very easy for them to understand whether they understand GIS or not. So this we find very, very important. And finally, we have found out from what we have been able to do that GIS promotes open governance system and partnership. You can be able now to bring in private sector and government and all business people together, because you can share, you can bring all these data sets together, and you can all share and find out how each one of you develops. So with the use of GIS, we are building up now a very big constituency where now people are coming in to share their data because they know that they can benefit from other data. So it's very, very important for open government partnership with other sections or other people. And then lastly, the most important aspect, what we have found out is that it promotes transparency and accountability. With the GIS, we are able to provide all the information there, so everybody can see the information, and therefore the decision made are clearly based on data and information. And that is, to us, a very important aspect. And for the time we have been using this system, we see that our governance system is equally improving in terms of transparency and accountability because everything is available. All these data sets are online, so people can access to it and can be able to verify their quality and their usefulness. And finally, there can be now sharing of data, which then end up in data mining. People using your data to create more data, and therefore value addition. So in conclusion, I want to say that one quote that has always inspired me, and that's how I went to geospatial technologies, is a quote by Socrates, where he said that man must rise above the earth to the top of the atmosphere and beyond, for only thus will he fully understand the world in which he lives. And indeed, remote sensing has made us understand the world better than we did before. Finally, from my experience, I've learned the following: that innovations and developments of the future are in data analytics. Geospatial technologies are the biggest game changer facilitating the transition. Thank you for listening to me, and that's Vihiga from space.